there are obviously some great tracks on there, but one that really struck me is something that I actually put a lot of value in, and that is health is wealth. Targeting, how junk food companies kind of target poorer communities,
Yeah.
and how it's very, very hard for a lot of people, who maybe don't have a lot of money to be able to actually eat healthy. Is this something that's always been on your mind, and do you see it changing anytime soon?
Yeah, it's definitely something that like we've both been aware of for a long time. I suppose like when you grow up in certain areas and you are like I'm from a certain economical background, you I suppose you may notice them, you may notice these things, you may not, but like, you realize to some extent that like the food that is offered to you in your immediate surroundings is like not necessarily the healthiest stuff. And like if you can buy a meal for £2.50, it's probably not the healthiest meal. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And yes, I think it's something we've both been aware of for forever, really. And whether or not things will change, I it's hard to not be pessimistic and on this front, isn't it? But like it does seem like it will only change for the worse. Like as much as I hate to say that because I like to remain hopeful, but I think the with like the cost of living crisis that everybody is going through at the moment, there is there are people that are like they're searching for cheap like food. Do you know what I mean? Because they have bills and rent and stuff to pay, which is absolutely insane. That like the thing that keeps you alive, sustenance for your body, is like kind of falls quite far down on the list of
Mm.
priorities because like I need to pay for the roof over my head, I need to pay to keep the lights on and the heating on in the cold months. And then maybe I'll think about food. And it's like quite an insane thing, you know?
I Just from the lyrics to Health is Wealth, are you guys vegan?
I am.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
he is, yeah.
Do you find that difficult to maintain while touring?
Yeah, it's incredibly hard. Some places are harder than others. Like throughout America, it's tricky when you're between cities. So most most petrol stations, gas stations in the UK would have like this form of vegan like protein shake, which is something that like if we're driving a fair like a longish distance, like none of them are as long a distance as we would drive in America, for example. But if we were driving a longish distance, like I know I can get a protein shake, I could get some fruit if I want to, I could get like I can eat at most of these petrol stations, but in America, it's not the case. Like there is nothing to eat there. They don't have a banana or an orange or an apple available. They don't have vegan protein shake. They don't even have protein bar. They have beef jerky and
Corn syrup, and that's about
corn
it.
syrup in
Yeah.
various forms. Yeah.
Just basically
um,
whatever they can cram high fructose corn syrup into, they will.
exactly.
That's
Yeah,
about it, yeah.
exactly. And so it's a little tricky sometimes, but like over here in the UK, it's not a huge problem while touring. It does mean sometimes we spend a little longer looking for food than we would otherwise, but it's not really a huge issue over here. But throughout Europe, sometimes it's a little harder, depending what country you're in. And throughout America, it can be quite tricky. Yeah.
Back in, I remember reading that in 2021, you guys were pretty vocal about. I had no idea how to pronounce the name. Die Antwoord? Is that the
Die
Diane
Antwoord.
Die Antwoord? Bloody South Africans.
yeah.
That they were playing at a festival that you guys were playing at, and I understand that they were removed from the bill. Did you ever hear any kind? Did you ever cop any flack from them?
No, no, we never heard anything from them. They know better.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to say?
Yeah. Yeah, they know better.
Wasn't
Like,
unjustified.
they pick on like smaller, like they pick on women and children. Like that's the sort of fucking people they are. Do you get me?
Yeah.
That's sort of like that's who they prey on. Yeah, I think they know better.
There are a lot of references in obviously the the music is, you know, tackles a lot of the hardships that are going on in England right now. There are a lot of references to England being dead. Now, my knowledge of British politics these days comes from clips of Jonathan Pye just shouting all the ills of your country into the camera. So I'm not massively well informed, but what do you think England, quote unquote England, is going to look like in the next few decades in terms of uh, politics, in terms of culture, maybe in terms of racism? How do you see it changing?
Uh, Hopefully it does. Yeah. I mean, this one is like a little bit easier than the food situation. I feel like it is slowly kind of correcting itself again. I mean, it's not there by any means, it's still quite a way away, but you can see that like a lot of people have been motivated to actually go out to make changes in the community or vote. People are starting to see that they have to be the ones. And when I say people, it is a subsection. Like it's generally younger people. I'm going to say left-leaning people, but they see that they have to be the ones to go out and be active in their community or be active in voting or whatever they have to do because it's not going to come from anywhere else.
Mm,
Nobody else is going to look after their interests. And I think slowly as well as the old British colonial mentality starts to die off with older people, I think you'll start to see like there is no appetite for that in the younger generation. I was watching actually saying that literally this morning I saw a clip of Suella Braverman, if you know who that is, talking about multicultural like the idea of multiculturalism is dead in England and it hasn't worked out and we need to move away from it. This is coming from like a politician that is like Asian by descent, talking about like wanting to get rid of multiculturalism. So it is still there, but I think
Yeah.
like the people, people come in into voting age now, especially as well. Sorry, that's one thing I have to say and commend them for. When I was younger, people were not so politically active, like at such a young age, and now it seems that people are politically aware younger and younger. Now to the point where you got people of primary school age caring about what happens in the environment and making their parents recycle and things like that. So I have hope for the future. I think it will slowly turn itself around as that old mentality dies out.
Yeah, I think
I'm
it's important that like, but we have to be careful with like the words that we choose because like I think like the people are turning it around. Like there's like it's not something that is happening by itself. It's something that like slowly the people are coming to realize that like the way that things have been for the last 12 years,
Oh, in terms of this government, but probably longer, really.
it's it's no longer like something we can survive under.
mm.
So,
Yeah.
I think people are growing tired of it and we are correcting it. Do you know what I mean? Through various ways.
Found it interesting to look at one of my favorite songs of last year was GDP. And that was basically my introduction to you. I thought it was fucking amazing. And the the track itself is really interesting because, I was watching just before you guys got on here, I was watching a Jonathan Pye clip about how under 12 years or whatever it's been of conservative government, you guys have gone from like one of like the third biggest economy or something to an emerging market economy after 12 years. And it's like, oh, bang up job, lads.
Yeah, we're a developing country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're what they call a developing country.
You gotta love it. Fucking hell. I was saying to Bobby and I were chatting before you got here. It's like, where's the money going? It's like other than into shareholders' pockets. Like,
Yeah, God knows. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
not going into me and my mates' pockets.
But I was going to say they have managed to convince everybody that it is going into the pockets of like these imaginary like bogeymen,
Yeah.
like these immigrants coming over, taking all the money, like, oh, they're taking our resources. When really, it's these companies taking the money and just taking it out of our economy, leaving it in accounts in Canary Islands.
yeah, no. Come on. It's clearly the poor people's fault. Come on now. Don't be silly. Like, it, what does, I mean, you mentioned with the end of, I believe it was the end of GDP, the line you ain't shut them out, you just locked us in. What was Brexit?
Oh, that's on the
I got the wrong song,
the
haven't
Kid
I?
Capici. Yeah, that's on the Kid
Pardon
Capici.
me. I'm sorry. Yes. What what was what do you think the legacy of Brexit has been? How have you seen the country change since that happened?
The legacy of Brexit. I mean, it depends who you ask, I suppose, doesn't it? Like in this
Yeah.
country, I think you have some people that voted against leaving, they voted to remain, and like they knew that if we ended up leaving, it was gonna be, maybe they didn't know it would be as bad as this, but we knew it would be bad. And then you have some people that voted to leave that didn't know how bad it was going to be, and they've come to realize, oh, we made a mistake. But then you have some people that voted to leave and refuse to acknowledge that their vote and the decision to leave is the reason as to why one of the reasons as to why this country is in such a mess. And they are still continuing, though we've left the EU, we've left these problems that they wanted to leave, we've left them all behind. We're still somehow facing those same problems. Like they are, or at least they are still feeling like those same issues are here. There's still too many immigrants here, which is something that we got told we were going to get rid of if we left the
Left
EU.
in
We there's still not enough money in my personal pocket, which is something that I was told I would get more of if we left the EU. And it's like there's this belief that like it's not to do with leaving the EU. It's all because of like, I don't know, my next door neighbor. And it's just an absolutely absurd opinion and stance to take. But like, it's I don't know, it's like it's a childish kind of mentality of like, well, no, it can't possibly be my fault. It has to be somebody else's fault.
I can't
exactly.
I
Yeah,
can't have
for
been
sure.
wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like
But you,
I surely can't be wrong.
no, you say that about childish is the exact right thing to use because for so many of these people as well, like Brexit for some people wasn't even really about Brexit. It was about a wider mentality and that them and the people they know stick to this line. So whatever is right wing is the right thing, and they
Mm.
are constantly they can't turn around and say that was a bad idea because if they turn around and say that was a bad idea, they have to start looking at other things, and that is like introspection's a hard thing,
Yeah.
especially for somebody who's not ready for it, and that's what it will bring. So they'd rather just like put blinders on and pretend, okay, oh no, but no, it's these immigrants now. It's not those immigrants, it's these immigrants, or it's these people, but it's never me, like you said.
Yeah. So I think the legacy of it, well, the legacy of it, like we're kind of seeing being written in real time. Do you know what I mean? Like there isn't, like I don't truly think that there's any politician that would honestly believe that leaving the EU was a good decision for the country. for individuals, maybe someone's made some money off it. Do you know what I mean? But for the country as a whole, I don't think you'll find any politician worth their fucking salt anyway, that would admit that it was a good idea to leave. Even some of the ones that were pushing for it have
like you said, a lot of it was personal interest. Even Boris, personal interest. Farage and co, personal interest. It was all about, well, really, we want to make more money rather than this is the best thing for the country, you know? It's going to help them personally.
I've got, like, with the amount, obviously, you know, the issues that you're facing, the amount that you guys care, you're both very, you know, very intelligent, you keep very informed of these issues. What do you like? Mental burnout is a very real thing, and I think it's affecting a lot of people these days because, you know, 100 years ago, you knew about your town and 2 towns over. Now you have a smartphone and you're expected to care about everything. And oh, by the way, the climate's fucked and we're all going to die. Sorry. Yeah. What do you guys do to take care of your mental health? To, you know, just take a break when you can, if you can.
I'll say personally, obviously take time out where you can, when you need it, when you feel you need it. But then also is to not to say everybody's problems aren't important, but sometimes you have to prioritize what is going to affect you or your community immediately. What's going on in America is great to look at for comparison or maybe for some kind of foresight so we can see maybe how things might pan out. But that is not something that is affecting my immediate surroundings or my community. And that is where you're really going to have the most impact. And that is where each individual, I believe, should probably put most of their focus, you know, into something they can immediately impact. Obviously, there are some bigger issues, things like, I know, like the Black Lives Matter protest with George Floyd's killing, where kind of transcends that. And that becomes something that like we all need to take part in because there's an injustice going on everywhere. And it does benefit all of us if we can all show solidarity moments like that. But yeah, for me personally, it is to prioritize what I can affect immediately. Yeah, for sure. Because you cannot do everything. Spreading yourself too thin just makes you break, like you said. A lot of people are struggling.
Yeah, and it's also like finding ways to switch off as well, because like you have to obviously take time out. So we're both fairly active physically. Go to the gym. Bob is he's an avid climber and very good at it.
Thank you.
You know, I'm in the gym like 3 times a week at least, and doing cardio, weight training. I will climb when I get time, and you know, reading a lot as well, and kind of like finding different outlets to be creative. That all of that stuff kind of helps, I think, reduce some of the like mental burden that we might get we might have because of like the topics that we're tackling in our lives, like, you know, as people from like a specific community or specific area, whatever it is, but also like because we talk about this stuff in our music as well, even through our art, there's no escapism through our art with you know, from the problems that we have on a day-to-day basis or that we're seeing in this country when we wake up. And so I think it's important for us to find ways to switch off, and I think some of those physical activities and those mental kind of activities help us to do that. I'm an avid Rubik's cuber as well.
Oh yeah, again, he's very good at that.
Yeah.
So constantly trying to, like, you know, get my time down on that and find new kind of cubes that interest me, and can kind of challenge me a little bit, and it's the little things like that are good ways to kind of switch off for a moment. Do you know what I mean?
Are there any plans at this point to tour Australia?
We are working on it. Yeah, we're working on it. It's very, I don't know if you know, but it's very far away, and it's
It is.
quite expensive, and it's very expensive to get
Yeah.
over there, and to tour. And even I think we've just heard stories, but even when touring there, I hear that a lot of the places that you would play the shows are quite far away from each other.
Yeah, unfortunately there is a massive, particularly, and it's the people on the other side of the country kind of get fucked over because people will only come down, and because of economic factors, they'll only play, they'll play Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne, and that's it.
Right.
And so the whole other hemisphere of the country gets neglected. So it is expensive, but it is worth it because we're awesome, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, and we have found that our friends Amel and the Sniffers, we toured with those lot throughout America, and I think that's the best time
Quality.
we've had
Yeah.
with another band, and we ran into them at festivals earlier this year, and it's just always so much fun. And Amy has been in the studio as well over here when she had a little time off, and so it's always just good fun whenever we see them. And I think we would love to get over there and meet the Australian
Yeah,
fan
for sure.
Yeah,
yeah, for sure. But
The whole
something
country of that.
Yeah.
she is a pretty good representation of Australia.
That's good to know.
Yeah,
We love
Yeah,
her.
that, yeah.
I saw her for the first time ever. I think it was earlier this year, and I was just blown away. I was like, "Who the fuck is this chick? She is amazing." So,
She is incredible. She
and
is an incredible front woman I honestly feel in years to come, people will be looking at her as she is an incredible front person for a band.
mm,
It's unreal, her energy and her charisma on stage and stuff. It's incredible.
yeah. Lastly, I thought you might appreciate the
Yeah,
nasty punk fuck off.
love it.
Yes. Would you ever consider having Barney on a track? That would sound amazing.
I think I think those kind of collaborations would be great. It's weird because there doesn't seem to be tons of crossover between generations of punk music.
Mm.
And for us, we like to have very natural collaboration. So everyone you've seen us collaborate with, it's been people that we know, and we've met them and formed relationships. So yeah, if there's natural ways by which we meet these people, then yeah, we definitely will. But the generational gap between some punk bands, I think it's only ever really closed at Rebellion Festival, where you have younger bands, newer bands, and older bands kind of on the same stage. But besides that, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing because I feel like in other genres of music, it's not such a big problem, but in punk music, it does seem to be a little bit more of a problem.
So that's really interesting. I wouldn't have said that, but that's maybe just going from the Australian, because yeah, Australia, I feel like it's a lot more intermingled. Our older generation ones, go on tour with younger ones quite a bit.
That's
But
cool.
yeah, that's interesting.
I think over here, oh God, I
Yeah.
think over here, there has been something that we have maybe, I don't know, maybe not speak for Bob because I don't want to get anyone else in trouble, but it's something I have noticed, or maybe you've noticed it as well, where older punks start to lean more and more to the right as they get older. And all of those kind of left anarcho punks that you look at and you think, yeah, they're incredible. When you then you start your own band and time goes on and you see them get older and some of the views that they talk about or they disagree with your views, and it's like, hold on a minute, this seems like something that we should be aligned on, but we find ourselves at odds with each other. And that, I think, is maybe one of the reasons why we as a band personally haven't necessarily had a ton of crossover generationally. But we will say that the members of Crass have been extremely, from very early on, have been extremely warm towards us, and like, you know, spoken with Penny, you know, spoken with Steve, and had kind of a go between with Penny, and there is some kind of connection with some of the older bands, and like the, you know, like the magazines like Viva La Rock, who they tend to discuss older punk bands, older rock bands, but they have been very they've been very open and warming to us, and like they've, you know, we won an award last year from those guys, and they've given us a lot of support in their magazine and across their social media and stuff. So like it does happen, but I think band wise it's a little, it depends what band it is over here. But yeah, some of them start to take the, you know, the wrong side.
I feel like I know who you're talking about. Anyway,
there's a few of them to pick from.
Oh man, guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having both of you here. It was no, this is awesome. Look, congratulations on everything. And congratulations on the award. I forget what it was called, sorry, but I saw your acceptance speech. It was fucking awesome. Move it, yes. Yeah, man. Fuck major labels. You've done well. And pat yourselves on the back and be proud of yourselves, because it's fucking awesome. So
Thanks
keep doing what
very
you're
much.
doing, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye.